And we are back with more Skyblazer, and it's time to show you that thing that I was talking about. And yes, I'm aware of how wrong that sounds out of context, but you're going to go to this gateway and then hit up on the D-pad, and that will trigger this. Another one of these flying sequences. Now, the pattern for the way the diamonds appear is exactly the same as when you flew to the Eastern Plains. In fact, every time you have one of these sequences, this is what it's going to look like. It doesn't really change that much. Sure, the sky looks a little different, but that's pretty much it. And by the way, you can do this sequence multiple times. You can just keep going back to the gateway, hitting up, and going through this, as well as the level that follows this, which I'm not going to say what it is just yet. So, again, very, very easy to grind lives in this. I know that I said before that the game doesn't really encourage grinding, but when you put stuff like this in here, even if it's out of the way and you won't necessarily discover it all the time, it does kind of make it too easy. I'm not going to do it though. Now you have to pay attention to what the old man says. He says, when the waters surge, brace yourself. That's because after this, we're going to a level that I believe is called the Ship to Nowhere. And I'll show you what exactly the old man is talking about when we get to that level. It'll be very easy to find. It's the only place you can move now. Not much of a choice here. And you have to get through the stage, otherwise you'll just keep dying over and over. Now, the entire level is just this ship. Now, what he's talking about is you have to grab onto this little crate in the middle, and then these waves will crash down. If you're not holding onto the side, you'll get washed off the ship and die. And every time these waves come down, more enemies will spawn. Sometimes. You'll want to be gripping on the right side of the ship for when this wave comes through, because there's a one-up over here. Now more enemies are going to spawn. Now work your way over to the left and start gripping onto the left side. Because there's going to be nothing here, but then the one-up will move to the left side. Then you'll have another wave of enemies, and one last wave, and that does it. Now you just appear off to the side of this temple, and you can resume your business. Or in this case, we are going to head to the Fortress of Cheryl. This one is very similar to the flying stage we saw earlier. Another flying, sort of side-scrolling type deal. Now, I recommend flying high for these parts so that you don't get blindsided by some of the shit that comes up. There are full health power-ups that show up, like right here. So, you can kind of go balls to the wall aggressive with all the enemies that you see and sort of hang toward the front of the screen, but I don't know, I guess it's just habit that I kind of tend to try and avoid that. I would be very careful going down through here. Not only because of those spikes at the bottom, but because of that goddamn cannon. If you get hit by an enemy, just fly right past it. Because, as annoying as the enemies are, your main concern is just not getting crushed to death. Now you can try going to the shrine to the left here, the shrine of the Weeping Willow. But when you do, if you don't have the magical ability from the cave that was off to the right, he'll say you don't have the minor powers yet, and he'll just kick you out. So you have to go into this cave, which is called the Caverns of Cheryl. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the obligatory lava stage of the game. I know you can't see it yet, but it's down there. See? Now you have to be really careful for these sections because these bastards will keep popping out of the lava and shooting fireballs at you. And there are a couple of ways to deal with that. One, if you use a Dragon Slash, it'll not only block the projectile but also hit the enemy. Another useful thing about Dragon Slashes, which I haven't mentioned at this point, is, oh yeah, and the lava only does 1 hit point of damage, while touching the enemies does 2. Figure that one out. And don't bother attacking these hands, they'll just crumble briefly and then reform themselves and continue moving around. Now what was I talking about? Oh yes, the Dragon Slash. Another useful thing about it is that if projectiles are coming from behind you and you Dragon Slash, the projectile will move right through you. Dragon Slashes actually give you a sort of temporary invulnerability to certain attacks. Now as you move up here, there's fire that's going to shoot out of these things. You don't really have to move very much to avoid it. I more so just do this out of habit. And as we move down through here, jump onto the platform, and yeah, you know the drill by now. Just make sure to keep jumping to avoid these fireballs. This next section gets a little more complicated, largely because of this guy. Watch what happens if his attack hits you. Yep, you're dead. It's not that it does 3 points of damage or anything, you're just dead if it hits you. And there are going to be multiple versions of that guy appearing, so you have to be on your toes through here. Now, here's something you can do to bypass part of this stage, because you'll have... The idea is they want you to go to the lower section of the platform, but if you go to the edge and then jump straight forward, you'll be able to just grab onto that wall and skip past part of this level. And now we're going to make our way up through here. Uh-oh, almost got me that time. And you'll notice that I'm not very worried about how many magic points I have. There is a reason for that. Oh, God, that was close. And the boss chamber is right here, and now I am going to explain to you why. I have no idea what this boss is called, by the way. I'm just going to call him Turtle Mammoth. Now, as you can see, he breathes fire that looks suspiciously like apples, and he will fly at Sky and try and land on top of him, or just hit him with an attack. Now, if you stand too far away from this guy, he will charge at you like he did to start off the fight. But if you stay close to him, he will just try and fly forward and land on you. And you can exploit this to get some really easy hits on him. You can easily do this fight without using any magic. If you just keep slightly close to him, then back off, gauge where he's going to land, where his head will pop out, and then just do a 3-hit combo on him over and over and over. I'm kind of baffled at how easy this boss is, actually. And there are no words. Although there is this, Warrior Force. This not only makes you invulnerable, it makes your attacks twice as strong. Of course, it's for a limited time. I mean, they wouldn't want you to exploit it that much. But with this power, we can now pass through the Shrine of the Weeping Widow. Now, after this, we're going to have to take down the Great Dragon. Now, take a look at the dialogue here. He's going to say that you can get the power of the Fiery Phoenix for defeating him, but then Sky asks how to defeat the Great Dragon, and the old man says, I don't know. Now, this is one of my favorite moments in the game coming up, because he says, what do you mean that you don't know? And he just goes, you mean you don't know, and you just don't want to tell me you don't know. And here's where he breaks the fourth wall, saying, shouldn't you raise my endurance a little? It's like he's saying exactly what the player is thinking. But, with all that out of the way, I'm going to grab a password, and then next time on Skyblazer, we'll go through the forest and take on the Great Dragon. Later.